The Pulse School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by Saskatchewan Pulse Growers and Nodulator XL.
So we're here at the Saskatchewan Pulse Growers office, joined by Sherry Lynn, Agronomy and Seed Program Manager, and today we're talking about grading. So we all know that you can go to the elevator you hope to sell to and get your sample graded there, but should we be considering a third-party option?
You sure can. There are some third-party options available, and one is through the Canadian Grains Commission. They have a fall harvest sample program where producers can submit samples for free, and they will do an unofficial grade of that sample. It's easy to sign up for. You just go online and submit your contact information, and then they send you out the seed kit. And then all you have to do is send that sample in, and they do an unofficial grading. The catch for it is that samples need to be in by November 1st.
So what are we looking at when we're grading pulses?
Well, with pulses, there's a number of different things. Pulses are for mainly human consumption, right? So seed quality and intactness of the seed and the look of the seed are very important. So things like color, of course, the amount of splits or damage to the seed, any contaminants such as, say, sclerotinia, insect bodies, things like that, as well as just kind of the quality in terms of whether it's been heated, sprouted, things like that.
So let's go a little bit more into detail on color, because as you mentioned, these are for human consumption and we're quite picky in stores. So what are they looking at in regards to color?
Well, with color, there's a number of different things. There's the obvious in terms of the nice natural color. So for a green pea, you want a nice green color that's not bleached. For a yellow pea, you want it nice and yellow, and you don't want it to have that tinge of green. The other things that they look for in color is contaminants. So do you have some yellow peas in with your green peas, or some red lentils in with your green lentils? The third thing is actually anything that's on the seed that can cause a difference in color or a different look to it, such as earth tag. We know we had a lot of problems with earth tag this fall with the wet conditions and a lot of weed seeds and weeds going through the combine. It caused a lot of the soil to actually stick to the seeds and result in a lot of earth tag, so that can downgrade the color as well.
Is there anything we can do about earth tag to try to minimize that?
In terms of doing something about earth tag, it's all more the prevention side of things. If we can have peas that are standing up better for harvestability, that's the big thing, because then you're not combining right on the ground. It's the mole hills and stuff like that you're putting through your combine that help to create the earth tag issue, because you're putting more soil through. Desiccating and managing your weeds so that you don't have a lot of green material at harvest time, that also adds to the moisture and adds to the stickiness of the seed. The other thing is straight combining versus swathing. If you swath it, you're not putting as much of the soil into the combine as well. So there are some things that we can minimize and prevent, I guess.
So that might be a particular concern this year. Are there other things that we're worried about in the 2014 season?
For 2014, we know we've had a struggle with harvest, and there may be some quality issues, especially with some of the pulses that came off later. There's some concern with sprouting. There's some concern with staining on the seeds from a lot of the wet and dry cycles that have been happening, as well as the levels of disease that might be in them. Color, of course, can be affected. The more times you get it wetting and drying, the likelihood of a downgraded sample can occur.
How about the temperature of when we harvest our pulses?
Well, that leads into the storage concern, right? Because when you're taking grain off at a certain temperature and putting it in the bin, that determines, in combination with the moisture percentage, obviously, how tough the grain is, it'll determine how long that grain will store. So for example, when we had that heat wave going on and it was up to 30 degrees, there was a lot of pulses that came off at that time. And if you're taking them off tough, say at 18% moisture, you might only have had 2 weeks of really safe storage. So one of the concerns is now is making sure that producers are checking those bins, especially if they came off during the heat wave. and making sure that you get those temperatures dropped down to below 10 degrees. That's when they store the best, is below 10 degrees, or even at least below 15 degrees, and getting those moisture levels also to something that's safe storage. So for peas, you know, safe storage is at about 16, and for lentils would be about 14.
And so when a lot of people will move their products in order to try to mitigate all of those different temperature concerns, but even the movement can damage the seeds, correct?
Yes, anytime you're handling pulses, you have to be very careful. They have thin seed coats and are very sensitive to any mechanical damage. So it's recommended that you move them as minimal number of times as possible, and when you are moving them, avoiding things with metal augers. I know it's tough to do, but if you have the belt systems, they are much safer in terms of handling pulses. If you do have to use the metal augers with the metal fighting, then you should go to slower speeds, so reduce the auger speed so you're moving them slowly, and keep the augers full. That's about the only thing you can do to try and minimize the damage.
Sherry Lynn, thank you so much.